At the beginning of last year, I did a video, in fact the first video on my channel. I took a Heimdallr SKX007 homage and turned it into a SARY057 dress watch Grand Seiko style mod. And I haven't really done much else with it since then. I did put the original case back on it, and I just filed off the shark, and I realigned the dial so that the chapter ring is perfectly aligned with it. In this video, I want to take the chapter ring out, swap it with a much more detailed chapter ring that is more akin to what you would see in the SARY057, and replace the second hand with one that you would see on the SARB 33 or 35. The loop threaded second hand with that lovely sort of triangular thread at the end of it, which I just think looks really cool. So we're going to see if that suits this watch. So yeah, let's just get straight into it. Hope this works. There it goes. That was easy. That's the caseback gasket. I forgot to take that off. We'll have to give this crystal a clean. It's got dust on it, but yeah, there it is. Let's remove this chapter ring. Have they glued it in? Oh well, that's cleaner than it was. Okay, there it goes. They glued that in. Look at this. Look at this, like, residue there. They glued that in. That's right, don't forget to focus on my hand, camera, you stupid. There we are. There's your gasket. I want to get rid of this residue here. Gosh, that's not coming off at all. You know, it's all going to be covered up anyway. So there's your old chapter ring. That is a nice chapter ring. I will try and use that. I don't know why they glued it down. It does have a little notch on it. I just wish it would focus on the thing. Yeah, look, it just won't focus on it. Focus on the flipping ring, will ya? It does have one of these notches on it. Oh well, there you go. Let's get the new chapter ring. There's our little notch right there. Wait a minute, was I wrong? Is this the different size? Holy smokes, they look smaller. Did I just waste my time doing this? So we're going to measure it. That 30 point, we'll say 4. This one 31.3. So this was a waste of time. This chapter ring's too big. Just because I know people will be curious, here's the crystal. 31.15 for the crystal. This sucks. And for reference, this is the Hardlex crystal that I took out of the SKX171, which is the same as the SKX007 in diameter. Probably within margin of error here because I've got it in a slightly different position on the calipers, but 31.4 millimeters. So the minute hand has gone on a bit too close to the hour hand for my comfort, so I'm just sliding the dial protector in between them just to create a little gap to give them that perfect spacing, as you can see there. It also works nicely to allow you to clean the hands with a dry Q-tip there to get rid of any smudges without it scuffing anything else. So I've probably used the wrong hand pusher for this and it's bent downwards, but we can easily fix that by just putting the dial protector underneath here and just gently bending it back up. And as you can see, it levels it out quite nicely. You can do that on both sides. Yeah, unfortunately this dial does have a few dots and scuffs on it, since for the very first time I worked on it I was less experienced at this as I am now, so yeah, what can you do? This is just going to have to be a rough around the edges build, but it'll look nice in the end. I'm not going to give up on this chapter ring. Yes, it was misadvertised. The 31.5mm in diameter chapter rings are supposedly meant for the Seiko Turtles or maybe the Samurais, not the SKX007, which uses the 30.4mm in diameter chapter rings, which this certainly isn't. But I'm going to take it down into the shed, put it on the grinding wheel, and make it fit. Alright, let's try and grind this down manually in a really crude and terrible way. Oh dear, this is not going to end well, is it? Gosh, this thing's made of metal. But does it fit in the SKX case yet? Gonna need to take off loads more. Let's get started. This is gonna look shabby when it's done, I reckon. No. Let's keep going. Do another test fit. This is gonna take ages. Sort of little bits of extra bit around the edge here that I'm just sort of gently scraping off with my fingernail. Just gently trying to, because it seems to have a, this printed bit on the middle here seems to be like a piece that's a film that's been glued over it, and it's sort of breaking away as I've filed this down. As you can see, I have filed this down considerably. The only thing I've got to file down now is this little notch on the end here where it aligns in the slot in the case. It's just a bit too tall, so I'm just going to file that down, and it should friction fit into the case. Let's see. Quite rough around the edges, as you can see, but it doesn't sit in perfectly, but then if you press it into place, there it is. It's in. As you can see here, I've ground it right up to the edge, but then there's a little bit extra. When you look at it there's like a little bit of the black showing just underneath the white line. So it isn't perfect. I'm kind of hoping that when I press the crystal on, that's going to obfuscate that. Hopefully putting the crystal on doesn't magnify the issue. This is just an SKX007 case that I've got, that I'm in the middle of doing another build. Thought I'd use this to test it, but I'm going to take the movement out of the Heimdallr, put it in here, see how this sits against the dial. If it looks good, we'll go with it. If not, we won't go with it. Like for instance, you see those little bits there. I need to take the chapter ring out and just gently scrape those off with my fingernail to just tidy the edges. Anything else might scratch the... It's like they silk screened on a cover, you know, like a big sticker almost, like a vinyl wrap of black with the white lines on it. Remarkably, none of those white lines have come off. Like, it's good print. You see little flecks of metal there. I do need to tidy it up. There's another. There, see, that's come off. That's fine. So I need to see how it sits on the dial before we go any further. So get the movement out of the other case, put it in here. Make sure that's in all the way. That is in. I'll get the crown, put it in, just hold it in. Try that. Okay. So there is a gap, but I think that's just the chapter ring sitting on the indices of the dial. It doesn't look terrible, although it might look really bad when the glass is in there. I just don't know. Let's get the calipers out and measure that. Yeah, just poke it with that, why don't you? So without squashing it, 30.46. That's not bad, is it? That basically fits. Might have squashed it a little bit, you know, it's a very thin ring, but this could work. So we've got the Heimdallr case with the crystal popped out now. We're going to take out this chapter ring here. The regular one. So it does need a bit of friction fitting. Okay. That is in place. Yeah, there is a slight gap. The chapter ring is not as tall as it used to be. Quite a considerable gap, actually. Don't think the crystal will hold the chapter ring down, but it's friction fit. Let's case up the movement again. No, that's pretty spot on. No, it's not. I'll press that down first. So, it's misaligned at the 6. But not at the 12. Does that mean I might have to shift the dial a little bit? There you go. Spot on. Give or take a little bit. That's pretty good. Does the crown fit in it? Yeah, pretty perfectly actually. That looks terrific. It's a bit rough around the edges, like there. You can see some black right next to the lines. And then here, you can see a bit as well. This is why this is like not ideal. You don't want to be grinding chapter rings like this. Oh well, this is the Heimdallr. This is a bit rough around the edges and a bit DIY, so now I'm going to do something I've never done before, and that is press the crystal in while the movement's in there. That clean. There we are. Because the crystal has a little tiny, I'll say, bevel on the edge of it, you can't even see the imperfections of where I sanded it down. Although you can see them when you look at it from an angle, apart from the bit there around the 11 o'clock mark. You can't really see the imperfections, although there is a little dot on that chapter ring there. I'll take the movement out and spray that with the air compressor. Let's have a look. Gosh, I've got some smudges on the glass. I'll have to clean that with some IPA. That's not bad. Look at that. Yeah, my eyes are always going to be drawn to the issue up there, but fortunately the way the glass plays with the light, it actually makes it quite difficult to see the glaring issues with having ground down that chapter ring. But the crystal's set nice and level. That looks really cool. Not too bad for, what, 20 minutes of shaving down the chapter ring? Of course, it could have gone either way. That could have failed miserably, but not too shabby. This build's a little rough around the edges anyway. The Heimdallr mod gets an upgrade. Lovely SARB 35 style threaded second-hand, loop thread, whatever you call it, and a nice detailed chapter ring. Not too shabby. I'll put the bracelet back on it and we'll get a better look at it. So there you go, that was actually quite a success. I was able to get a non-standard chapter ring in this case, and it showed me that it can be done. I've actually done it with another chapter ring for another build that is coming up soon, so stay tuned for that. Yeah, this didn't turn out too bad. So I've got that more detailed chapter ring in there with the extra markers on it that's much more SARY-esque, just sort of making this look like a SARY SARB in SKX form factor, I guess. And that new second hand as well, that loop threaded second hand, it's a lovely style. This one in particular, I'm not sure if it works 100%. It's a bit thin. It could stand to be a bit thicker in this case, I think. Just the whole watch has a sort of chunky look, and the second hand, I think, doesn't quite match the other hands in terms of chunkiness, but I think it still looks nice. I'd be curious to know what you think. Let me know in the comments. Do you think the second hand looks good the way it is? Do you think it could be thicker? Not that there's really anything I could do about it. This is the only one of that kind of second hand that I could find. And let me know what you think of the chapter ring as well, the added detail. Do you think it looks better with this? Do you think the bevel around the edge of the crystal perhaps obfuscates it too much and so the effect is minimized? Or do you think the original chapter ring with the more simplistic look is better? Do let me know. I'm really curious to see what everybody thinks. But all in all, I think this was a success, and I think it looks pretty cool. It's not bad for what is, albeit a rough around the edges, SKX Heimdallr dress watch mod. So yeah, that's going to do it for this one. I hope you enjoyed it. It was certainly fun to experiment and see if I could grind down a chapter ring. Do let me know what you think. Thank you for watching, and until next time, have a good one.